Hi guys, we have this question under binomial expansion. Let's see how we can do it. So it says show that n plus 1 combined 3 minus n minus 1 combined 3 is equals to n minus 1 squared. So before we do anything, we need to know the formula for factorial combination, which is given in terms of factorials. So the formula is, if you have n combining with r, this should be equals to n factorial divided by n minus r factorial, r factorial. So this is the formula we'll be using. Now, we're using this formula mainly for two parts, for this part and for this part. Meaning that for this part, our n is n plus 1 and our r is 3. For this part, same thing. Our n is n minus 1 and our r is 3. So let's do the substitution. Here, let's replace it in the formula. So where there's n, we'll replace it with n plus 1. Remember, we're combining it with 3, so it's n plus 1 factorial divided by n is n plus 1, so that is n plus 1 minus r. Remember, our r is 3 factorial. R factorial. Now remember, our r is 3 again, like that. So minus this expression that we have here. So for this one, our n is n minus 1. So using this formula, we'll have n minus 1 factorial n minus r. N is n minus 1. So that is n minus 1 minus r. Our r is 3 factorial. R factorial. Our r is 3. Like this. So this expression that we have here is just a breakdown for these two combinations, and we have to make sure that it's equals to this. To proceed here, we can simply say, let's simplify first. So this implies that n plus 1 factorial divided by n minus 2 factorial. 3 factorial is as good as 3 times 2 times 1, which is just 6. So minus n minus 1 factorial. Here we'll have n minus 4 factorial. Again, 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1, which is just 6. So the next step now will be this n plus 1. Remember, a factorial is simply a number that is multiplied by the numbers that come before it. So the number that comes before n plus 1 is n. Hence, this expression can be written as n plus 1. What comes before that? N. What comes before that? N minus 1. What comes before that? N minus 2 factorial. All this is divided by n minus 2 factorial times 6. So why did we end at n minus 2 factorial? Because we wanted to cancel out with this denominator here. We're going to use the same concept for this part. So we have n minus 1. What comes before that? N minus 2. What comes before that? N minus 3. What comes before that? N minus 4 factorial. All this is over n minus 4 factorial times 6. Now, it's strategic that you end at n minus 4 so that it cancels out. So with that in mind now, let's see how it can proceed. So this cancels with this. So this cancels with this. Also, this cancels with this. So that we can simplify it further. So this implies that. Let's see what we remain with. Now, what remains here, we have n plus 1, n minus 1. Same thing here. But we can see that one of these two is common here. Also, at the same time, we can see that the 6 is common. So let's apply some factorization. In the numerator, n minus 1 is common. In the denominator, 6 is common. If that's the case, let's see what remains. Here, we factored out n minus 1. So what remains is n plus 1 and n. Minus, remember the 6 has been factored out. Here what remains is n minus 2, n minus 3. Okay. So to proceed from here, we just need to apply some expansions. So we can say this implies that we have n minus 1 over 6. Let's put them in brackets. This one here, let's expand now. So n times n gives us n squared. 1 times n gives us n, like that. Then on this part, n times n should give us n squared again. So now let's use the brackets so to avoid error. So n times n squared, n times 3 minus 3n, negative 2 times n is negative 2n. And lastly, 2 times 3 is a positive 6. Like that. So let's remove the bracket over 6. The bracket we're talking about is this one here. So we have n squared minus n minus this n squared. Now remember, 3n, 2n, this is negative 5n. If it multiplies that negative, it becomes positive 5n. Negative times 6 should give us negative 6. At this stage, it's clear that this n and this n can cancel out because one of them is positive and one of them is negative. So this just cancels with this. What else are we remaining with? N minus 1 over 6. So if we get okay, so I've just observed the small error that we made. Remember, when expanding here, it's n times n squared. 1 times n is n. So this is not supposed to be a negative, but rather positive. I hope you've seen it. So that when we get now this n and this 5n, what we get will be 6n minus 6. Like that. So this implies that. So we have n minus 1 over 6 multiplied by, let's factor out what is common here. What is common is the 6. What remains is n minus 1. So now at this stage, we can clearly see that this 6 and this 6 can cancel out, leaving us with only n minus 1 and n minus 1. So if we get the n minus 1 and the other n minus 1, put them together, this just reduces to n minus 1 squared, which is what we're looking for. So it's easy when you do it like that. Then now the second part of the question is even way easier. It says find the value of n such that we have this expression. So to find the value of n that they're asking for, let me create some space. It's just a short question. So to find the value of n that they're requesting for, remember this whole thing is equal to 16. But remember again, this whole thing is equal to n minus 1 squared. So this part and this part are the same. Meaning that since this is equal to this, then we have this part here. We can replace this whole thing with n minus 1 squared. Hence our equation, this one, will become n minus 1 squared is equal to 16. Remember, this whole thing is equal to n minus 1 squared, and this whole thing is equal to 16. Now these two are the same. So we can just replace this whole thing with n minus 1 squared. Then makes life easy, because now what we have is we can take a square root to both sides. So we can have n minus 1, if we take a square root to both sides, is equals to 4, like that. Remember, square root, square root. So this cancels with that. Square root of 16 is 4. Hence, n is equals to 4 plus 1. Hence, n is equals to 5. So there you have it. The value of n is simply 5. So I hope it makes sense. In case you have a question, please feel free to drop it in the comments. Have a good day.